Hello, and thanks for joining us on Movie Night Memories. You must remember this, a podcast that focuses on movies and our favorite memories of them. Each week, we discuss the films that are celebrating an anniversary from when they came out in theaters. My name is Sword Alexander, and I'm joined by the inspiration of this podcast, my mom, Tracey.
Hi, everybody. Happy holidays.
This week, we're talking about movies released between December 7th and 13th. We are going through Clue at 40 years, Wall Street at 38, and Brokeback Mountain celebrating a 20th anniversary.
I can't quit you.
I wish I knew how to quit you. That's the line.
Well, I say I can't quit you.
So we have an interesting little roundup this week. There's a lot of movies on the list, and man, there's some really good ones that we just decided not to talk about this week, but we wanted to focus on the ones that we actually had a chance to see, because the other ones we haven't seen in a very long time. It's been a busy week, so I'm glad we were able to see what we could. But first we're going to talk about Clue. This is celebrating, like I said, a 40-year anniversary. It was released December 13th, 1985, directed by Jonathan Lynn, and it was written by him as well. It's the famous characters from the hit board game coming to life as they're invited to a mysterious mansion under nefarious circumstances. What follows is murder, investigation, and accusations in this freaking insane comedy. So tell me about your experience with this movie.
Well, I didn't see it when it came out into the theaters. I saw it later, and I was blown away by it. I've always loved Tim Curry and Madeline Kahn especially. I didn't realize Michael McKean was in it until we saw it again, which I love. He was one of the characters from Laverne and Shirley, but I loved him from Spinal Tap. And Martin Mull, I love. Leslie Ann Warren, I was exposed to her when she played Cinderella in the adaptation that was on TV, and she was always really good. She was in Victor Victoria and other films. And Christopher Lloyd, of course, we love him from the
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
But he's been some other
Taxi.
Yeah, Taxi. He's been so many different great things throughout his years of working. He was one of the first Klingons in Star Wars, a really prominent Klingon character in the movies, Star Trek movies, not Star Wars. What am I thinking? Star Trek movies.
Yeah, but anyway, the cast together all played so well together, and so when I saw it, I think I saw it during Halloween, and grew up playing Clue, so it was really fun, and we even played Clue during one of the hurricanes.
Yeah, we did. We. I think it was Hurricane.
Irma?
Irma. It was Irma.
With a bunch of people we didn't really know.
That's a whole other story.
And it was kind of scary. We didn't have any lights.
We had candlelight because the power was out. It was in the middle of frost-proof Florida.
With my college roommates, Steve and Patty.
And when they had their neighbors come in because they have smaller houses, and we were trying to hunker down together in the middle of all this.
They lived in mobile homes.
Yeah, so we had to hunker down together.
Well, they didn't, but Steve and Patty had a brick house.
Yeah, that's why we came over there.
Yeah.
And
and that's when the eye of the storm hit that area.
Now that is a whole other podcast worth talking about. That was wow. Anyway, my first experience watching this movie, I can't quite remember how old I was, but I was really drawn to it specifically because of the ending. And I know we like to talk about, we usually spoil the movie by talking about it in detail, but I really want to make sure we don't spoil this movie because the ending is so special. It's really preferred that it shouldn't be talked about. You should go see it for yourself if you've never seen it. But the people who have seen the movie know what I'm talking about when it comes to the ending itself. And I thought it was brilliant. It's one of the best endings I've ever seen in a film. And it still is, in my opinion. I truly enjoy this film. I don't love it, but I really do appreciate for what it was able to do, especially for a board game premise. And they really make it a great murder mystery. And they could tell they put the love and the heart into what makes the board game so special. And the cast of characters is what makes it really work.
And the mansion that they're filming in reminds me of The Traitors.
Yes, absolutely.
the new show, The Traitors. So it was ahead of its time, I feel.
I recently read Tim Curry's book, Vagabond, his memoir that came out this year. And he really talked a good bit about Clue and how he loved Madeline Kahn and how it was one of his favorite movies to work on. He absolutely adored this film. As much as he loved Rocky Horror, he specifically wanted to be in this film because he wanted to separate away from being Dr. Frankenfurter in future roles. He wanted to show that he had versatility, and he really did in this film, and he was brilliant in it just as much.
And he looked beautiful in it. He looked really handsome, and he was really talented in it throughout, and so did all the other characters, and the secret passages and everything was very well done. How
they brought everything together, it feels like a love letter to the board game and the people that love the board game as well. I cannot recommend this movie enough. Do you remember anybody talking about the movie when it came out in theaters, though, even though you saw it later?
No, it really wasn't that big a production. So I think it became more infamous after, and people would watch it during Halloween and things like that, and get together and play Clue and have the film in the background.
I think it shows that too, because the budget was $15 million and the box office it made 14.6.
Oh,
so it did lose money at the end of the day, but I think it's because this film was really ahead of its time, and I see where probably it may have failed in the 80s box office because it's quintessentially 80s. It probably was just run-of-the-mill for a lot of 80s films that were much better back then, around that same time frame, because 85 was a fantastic year for film. But, looking back on it, there are so many others that really stand out, like this one. I think it deserves to be the cult hit that it is today, and it deserves to be mentioned more. And it's a huge anniversary, 40 years. I mean, I think it's worth talking about, and it still really stands up to this day.
I think it should have been released around Halloween versus December.
Absolutely. This should not have been released in December. That's probably also why it did not end up working out so well. One thing that I also came across during my research was that Siskel and Ebert, when they did their review of the film, they spoiled the ending pretty quickly onto it. And I'm very upset about it. I'm going to be frank with you. I'm very upset. I hate when they do this. They do spoil the movie in some of the films that they talk about, and it really bugs me that they do that because this is primetime television. Their format is that they're telling people whether or not to go see movies, and then they spoil the movies. This is an example of that. They completely spoil the ending within the first minute of talking about it because it has to do with the way the film is set up, as you understand how the film is set up too. But they also didn't like the film. They thought it was just corny and that the jokes didn't land, and it just wasn't very funny to them. And that's their opinion. They have a right to their opinion, but they're wrong.
Well, I enjoyed it when I first saw it, but, it's 40 years ago, and I think it still holds up.
I think it absolutely holds up, and I truly enjoyed every moment of it, and it's a film that I'm going to keep with me as well.
Even the costuming of their clothes, and it was supposed to be back in the 50s, the late 50s. I think it was supposed to be 1959.
It was.
Was it 59 or was it 40?
It was like that. It was like 59. It was right after World War II. It was not right after World War II. It was around like the 60s because it was around making the atomic bomb.
Oh, maybe it was 49. Maybe it was 1949.
Okay,
I can't remember now.
I have to look this up now, I guess. Let's see. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for this.
I think it was 49. And the costuming was beautiful. I think it was 49.
Okay.
Now I'm remembering
54.
Oh, 54. Okay.
But what was your favorite part of this movie? Try not to spoil it, of course.
I like the whole, how the lights would go out and then somebody would be murdered. I like the whole...
or lights go out and somebody would scream and be like, stop turning the lights out!
It's just the whole, the whole concept was well done.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it too. What would you give it out of 5 stars?
I'd give it a 3.5.
I'd give it a 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was pretty great. Next up, we're going to be talking about Wall Street. It was released December 11th, 1987. It's directed by Oliver Stone, and it was written by him and Stanley Weiser. The synopsis is, it's about a young business graduate at a junk bond company on Wall Street in New York City, gets in with a wealthy investment broker using insider information, one of the most successful men in the United States. Now, it's pretty much a fish out of water coming to getting in and over his head in a new world kind of film. It's very traditional when it comes to that story format, but it's a completely different landscape with the idea of being on Wall Street.
And Michael Douglas is in it. Mm-hmm. Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen's the young, up-and-coming guy who gets in with Michael Douglas, who's the wealthy investment broker.
Martin Sheen. I think this is the first time that Charlie Sheen and Martin Sheen play together in a role, I think, in a movie. And Daryl Hannah is in it. She has a very shallow part.
Yeah, it's really just about Michael Douglas and Charlie Sheen. There's other people involved in it, too. The guy who played the doctor in Scrubs, like the big bedside manner doctor in Scrubs, he's in it, and he's great. He's absolutely great in it. But all these roles are minor compared to Michael Douglas and Charlie Sheen playing their respective and pretty pivotal roles. This is a very influential film. It really does sum up the greed of the 80s and what it represents. It's very influential when it comes to the business side of things to this day. And
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I think that the cinematography is beautiful, showing the skyline of New York City, Manhattan, Wall Street area. You see the Twin Towers so many times.
Yeah, a lot.
I kept saying, I bet you're going to see the Twin Towers before we start the movie. And sure enough, the first thing you see is the Twin Towers, which I was, puts a heaviness in your heart about it.
So when did you see this movie out when it came out in theaters?
Yes, I did. So, I was looking forward to it because at the time I was with someone who was from New York and we wanted to go see it. And so we were looking forward to it. I fell asleep during the film. There was some slowness in the film, and I fell asleep. I did.
What does that tell you about how it is?
There's some slowness in the film. Mm-hmm. And I remember certain things. Daryl Hannah played an interior designer. Decorator. And
the worst interior decorator.
I remember when Charlie Sheen had got his apartment and he's decorating the apartment by her fashion sense or decorating sense, that this is the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. I remember then.
This is one of the worst looking apartments I've ever seen.
I thought to myself, this is so gaudy, this is so ugly. What were they thinking? It was not at all appealing. At all. At all. And it's still to this day, I think, it's still ugly. It's disturbing. I wasn't some stupid, not having any sense of decorating, because it still is ugly. It's still ugly.
It's oh my God. But the film itself, I saw this film back in college, and I saw it during Economics 101 in college, so that just tells you what we were expecting out of it, too. It was like the only movie we saw in the class was just like, we're going to watch Wall Street and talk about it. Simple as that. So it was a great movie of introducing you to what Economics 101 was about back in the 80s. And I liked it enough at the time, but at the same time, it's definitely slow in the middle. And then when it picks up pretty good. I think Charlie Sheen and Martin Sheen they do a good job acting together. I do think at times Charlie was holding back because I don't think he wanted to really intimidate and upset his father. But then again, I think Martin was pissed off that he wasn't able to go all out with some of the parts of the role too. But I think Charlie did a good job, all things considered, with it. And Gordon Gekko, or Michael Douglas's character, I think Michael Douglas, of course, knocked it out of the park. There's just something a little bit off about all their characters. It just doesn't seem like the way it should be. It's like their personal choices are interesting, and the shots are beautiful. The writing is good, but I think the one thing that really took it away from me is that, and I know this isn't a film that's supposed to educate people about Wall Street, I get it. I just was thinking that a way to improve the film is if you're going to use this as a catalyst to introduce you to the world of Wall Street, there should be some parts in the beginning that kind of teach you about how they speak. Because we're talking about buying stocks and selling stocks at 23 and a quarter and 21 and a sixth. And some of that language really just gets not hard to follow, but not easy to follow. And for those who are less involved in that kind of business discussion, because I have a business management degree, so I have a better idea about what they were saying. I was still, though, confused at some of the language, and I wish they had taken a moment, just about a minute is all I needed, to really establish what does it mean when somebody's buying at $500,000 at 23 and a third. Like, what does that mean? That sort of thing. I feel like it just it faltered on that. But then again, like I said, it's not supposed to be teaching you about Wall Street. It's supposed to just take you into that world. It's supposed to be for adults. This is an adult film. But I do believe that if you're going to introduce people, even adults need to learn something. And this is something that was a missed opportunity, in my opinion, for the writing.
And at the end, I did notice that there was a thank you to Louis
Stone.
That
I think that's Oliver Stone's father.
we think, but it could be an uncle, it could be some relative. I don't know. I never noticed it before.
Mm-hmm. Now, the famous line is, "Greed, for lack of a better word, is good." That comes from an anecdote that a real stockbroker made during a lecture at a University of California, Berkeley lecture talk. Yeah, I said it 4 times, it's a lecture talk. So he mentions it, he says, greed is healthy. He specifically said, I believe greed is healthy and that you should not feel bad for feeling greedy. And then later on he gets arrested for insider trading. So what does that tell you? And that's where the famous quote comes from. They were inspired by real stock exchange brokers who did insider trading, who did a lot of illegal things to make as much money as possible, which I think was the right thing to do, that made it as realistic as possible. But at the same time, the film does have some moments that it really should have shined more. I don't believe that... There's just some things I just don't believe that really should have happened and would have happened. But I do like the basic structure of how it goes. And I really do like the ending where it shows that actions have consequences. Icarus flying too far into the sun sort of thing. That's something that I too appreciate about the movie. But in general, I didn't like it that much.
So, but you didn't mention how much it made versus how much...
Yeah, speaking of money and how much you make in it, it did a $16.5 million budget, and that's pretty low for a movie like this. And then it ended up making $43 million at the box office. And of course, it did even more with rentals in the future and everything.
But it was almost 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it did pretty good. And Michael Douglas was known for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
He got very well known, but he was already known for his
this is certainly
box office draw.
I wouldn't say this is one of his top 5 films. Even despite how great he did, he got Best Actor at the Oscars for this.
Oh, he did?
Yes, he did.
Oh.
So despite how great he was in it, I still don't think this is one of his top films. I've seen him do better acting and even more recent stuff. But he was great. He's influential. I think his role was influential at that point in time. And it was a message that people needed to hear or see at that time.
But wasn't this the year that we had one of the worst... the box off... not the box off.
Yeah,
the stock dropped in October.
You probably know about that more than I do.
Yeah. In October of 87, the stock dropped one of the worst times in the history.
It's probably why people went to go see the movie. Because they're like, oh, what happened? And they go watch Wall Street.
But I'm just saying, I think it was one of the worst times the stock dropped.
Yeah.
But anyway, I give it a 2.5 to 3. It's hard for me to say. I liked the one scene between Martin Sheen and Charlie Sheen, and you know which one I'm talking about.
It was a great scene. It was the best scene in the movie, and it was between the father and the son, and that is where the greatness of that film shines. It's between the difference between working at a business company like in Wall Street compared to working as a working stiff, a laborer who works hard to create something for other people. And they really should have focused more on that a little bit, in my opinion, too.
But Martin Sheen kept his cool.
Mm-hmm.
So most fathers, especially working under those circumstances, would have lost his cool. He maintained his coolness, and he was just... I couldn't believe. He didn't call him down. He didn't grab him. He didn't slap him. He just told him like it was and walked away. It was really a tremendous scene. Yeah,
I love that. That's where the writing really shined, because in those 2 minutes of that argument between them, you saw their entire history from when Charlie Sheen's character was a child all the way up to where he is now. You saw the relationship that they've had throughout their entire lives. And it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant writing, and I truly appreciated that.
Yep.
I would also give it a 2.5. I think it had some great ideas, but it fell short. And
I didn't like it that they showed Charlie Sheen crying when he was arrested. I don't think he would have cried. He's too strong a character to cry.
I think he would have been proud of himself for even getting arrested. Like, I did what I wanted to do.
And he would, because I know when he wouldn't have cried like he'd done something wrong. He would have kept his chin high because he would have never admitted that he did anything wrong. Because he would have kept his chin held high.
Right, and after what he had done before the point where he got arrested, he would have been proud. Because what he did in the film, like, it was something that he was proud of and he was happy for.
He wouldn't have cried. Because it's very difficult for a man to cry.
Yeah.
Very difficult for a man to cry.
Especially a man from, like, those hard-griddled men from New York.
No.
They're not.
Mm-mm.
No.
He wouldn't have cried.
Yeah. So, anyway, let's move on. We're going to move on to Brokeback Mountain. It was released December 9th, 2005. It was directed by Ang Lee, written by Larry McMurtry and Diana Osana. Murtry, thank you. In Wyoming, during the summer of 1963, two men find friendship and more, while working a sheep-herding expedition across a vast mountain range, forging a relationship that lasts 20 years. This is one of the most influential films of the 21st century, and I say that with an asterisk. It's influential, but for some very wrong reasons, because of how people make fun of this movie and how it's talked about as like a film that's not regarded as great. It's a film that's like something you can kind of, it's good, but you can make fun of it at the same time.
Well, there's some great cinematography in it.
Oh, absolutely.
Beautiful, beautiful cinematography. There's some things that I think they bring out that's really fantastic. But then there's some things that, and I love. I think it's important that love is love no matter what. But for some reason, I didn't understand why there was such a strong connection between these two. For some reason in the storyline, they don't show why they have such a strong connection between. Because Heath Ledger is a great actor, fantastic actor. So is Jake Gyllenhaal. But they don't show them connecting on emotionally or
you're still having a hard time getting your words together for this.
Yeah. They don't show them connecting, like they don't have anything in common. They don't show them talking on a intelligent level.
They show them talking, but about each of their little backs, like their childhood a little bit. So they get to know each other. Like,
when did they talk about their childhood?
They did. It was a couple of fireside chats they've had in the afternoons. Heath Ledger talked about how he lost his parents, and that his brother and sister had to take care of his brother and sister, so he had to grow up pretty quickly. Jake Gyllenhaal, he also did talk about his childhood a little bit. I forgot exactly what his childhood was about.
I'm talking about there was a connection, like the same music. Mm-hmm. Like one didn't play a guitar. One did play the harmonica, didn't they?
Yes.
Okay, but they didn't have deep discussions about something in common. There was no connection.
The way they end up making their connection, if you will, it just kind of comes out of nowhere.
It was barbaric.
Yeah. And
it was very barbaric.
And then it just kind of, they move on from it, but then they start to they act like boys, and that's what makes it really weird, too.
It's not boys. It's not boys. It's like bears.
Yeah.
It's like...
No, I'm talking about, afterwards. After they have their moments together, and they start hanging out, they start playing around, not playing around, but they're, in the fields, lassoing each other, and just, play fighting and stuff. And
wrestling.
Yeah, and
wrestling.
It's really... It's like childhood. It's really... It's weird. It's weird, okay? It's weird. Like you've said, and I agree with you, where there's no emotional connection. You don't get to see them really fall for each other. It's really just like a physical, primal need that they can't explain. And that's it, which is, look, I'm sure we all have that, but at the same time, we both have to judge as a film. Is the film able to convince us that these two men are in love with each other? Because it does span throughout their entire 20 years of knowing each other. It doesn't. The film simply does not convince us that these two men are actually in love with each other as they should be.
So I'm trying to understand the connection. So there's a movie and a book, I think it was written from, or a screenplay, called Same Time Next Year. And it's about a similar storyline about a couple that met. And they met at a place, and they both were married, okay? Heath Ledger, at the time, was engaged.
Yes.
To another woman.
Mm-hmm. And Jake Gyllenhaal's character was single, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
They committed adultery.
Okay, but anyway. So, Alan Alda, at the time, and Ellen Burstyn, it was based on a play, met at this cottage. But they both had separate cottages, and they met, and they fell in love. And so they called it Same Time Next Year. And every year they would meet at the same cottage. Even though they both were married, they fell in love. But they didn't leave their spouses. They still loved their spouses, but they still loved each other. And they had a connection because they both had things in common. And they both loved and adored each other. And it showed their connection on a intelligent level and emotional level. So, that was our baby girl. She's agreeing.
Yes, she does agree. You agree, Gloria? You agree? Yeah.
So there can be connections where you're still in love with your wife or your other half or whatever you want to call it. But I didn't see the connection at all.
It just was physical. I saw as this, they were just physically into each other, and they, at that time period, of course, men really couldn't be together without being chastised. And Heath Ledger's character, he tells a story about how...
And that was very shocking.
He tells a story about how a man was persecuted and brutally murdered because they found out he was gay. So he was already reluctant about it.
Well, that he lived with another man, and there were rumors that they were together.
Mm-hmm. So it was a very sketchy time for these two men. So I get the secrecy and everything. I just, like you said, I don't feel that they had a connection for each other, except it was just purely physical. They couldn't control it. They couldn't quit it. They literally could not quit each other. And they end up getting relationships. Jake Gyllenhaal falls for Anne Hathaway, who's in this movie, which I never expected. And I
forgot that she was in it.
And they fall in love. They start having kids. Heath Ledger's character... Yeah, one child, thank you. Heath Ledger's character, he gets married to Michelle Williams. That's actually where they met, and they did get married in real life.
I'm not sure if they got married, but they do have a child together.
In the film, they have kids too, so they end up having their own separate lives, and they end up sending postcards. They meet each other, and then they start doing a thing where they meet up in the same place, just like with this time next year, that film you were talking about.
Same time next year.
Same time next year, and they meet up 2 to 3 times a year. They say it 2 to 3 times a year
at Brokeback Mountain.
At this Brokeback Mountain range, and they relive the exact same thing they did the first time. They fish, they fornicate, and they have a good time. And they bond, and they fall in love. They're falling in love, and they just cheat on their wives 2 to 3 times a year for the next 20 years. That's it. But they don't really get to show us what they like about each other, except it's just that physical need for somebody, and it just doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for you either.
It doesn't show them why they connect on a more emotional, intelligent, caring level. Mm-hmm. It doesn't explain what's their connection.
Look, I've seen a lot of jokes about this movie, about, gay men and Brokeback Mountain and stuff. Throughout the last 20 years this movie's existed, I've heard every single joke in the book. And it may be me just getting tired of it. But this movie really isn't all that it's cracked out to be. It's pretty mid.
They don't even tell you the years.
No.
They don't tell you time. In the beginning of the movie, it shows 63. Then you don't know what year it is when things change.
Yeah, the only way you could possibly tell is by seeing how old the kids are. But even then, that doesn't properly tell you how long it's been since they've seen each other and everything.
You have to guesstimate.
You have to guesstimate. And I don't like the ending of the movie. I think the ending is just disappointing. And it's kind of realistic, but, at the same time, there's
disappointments throughout the film.
Yeah, it's just not well written. I just don't like it. It did not work as a story. I do think the acting itself is great for all the characters, especially Michelle Williams. She knocks it out of the park. Watching her find out that her husband's cheating on her with a man, it completely rocks her world. It completely shakes her foundations, and she's brilliant in it.
And she doesn't do anything. She doesn't say anything
because she's afraid to. Of course, I don't know what I don't know what to do in that kind of scenario too. If I were in her shoes, how am I supposed to say my husband's cheating on me with another man? in that time frame, it's like 68, 65, 67.
We don't know what year it is.
Yeah. But it's in the 60s.
We have to guesstimate because how old the kids are.
Yeah. We don't know, but we don't know.
No, they said it's 4 years.
Okay,
Remember?
cool. It does, okay, either way though, it's 67. What is she supposed to do? Just tell the police? Or tell a lawyer?
No,
do you think a lawyer would believe that?
No, I think she would have talked to him saying, is there more? There's so much stuff that goes on that doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so your idea is that if she talks to him, you know what his response is going to be?
Yeah, that's another thing. He mumbles throughout the whole film.
Heath Ledger, you don't hear a word he's saying. If we saw this in the movie theater, we would never understand a single word that man said.
I think if he was still alive, I think he would say, I mumbled because I was ashamed of what I was saying. I shouldn't have said that.
It's just true.
He does mumble.
He mumbles. I don't know how people were able to watch this movie without subtitles. I'm sorry. It's just it's terrible. It's terrible the way he talks. It's like the mountain. He acts like he's got no teeth. He acts like he's got no teeth. I'm like, dude, come on. The director Ang Lee should have seen this.
The movie was not a big marketing movie, but look how much it made.
Yep, a $14 million budget, $179 million in the box office.
Because you know why they said go see this film because you don't know what Heath Ledger say.
Yeah, help us to understand what he said. No, what really is that this was like the first major. I mean, this is not the first movie with a gay couple, but this was you were there in 2005. What made people want to see this movie in the first place? You were there too. Yeah, but I was 11. When I was 11, I was playing with my toys and stuff.
I'm just kidding.
So tell me, what was it like? Like, what made people say you got to go see this movie? Why? Who cares? It's a gay couple. There's been gay couples in movies for the last 40 years. What makes this so special?
I didn't see this film until 2 years later.
So, but you remember when it came out, though.
Yes.
So what made this movie so dang special?
I don't know. I still don't know.
What were people saying?
I think it's because of the relationship. And there was no relationship to me. I didn't see this film till like 2 years later.
I think it was shocking to see Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger be gay.
Yes.
I think that's what it was.
Yes, it was.
It was shocking to see those two prominent actors kiss each other and be gay. That's it.
But yeah. I think that, yeah.
Yep.
And, the old joke about sheep herding.
Yep. Yep.
And I think let's go see that movie to see what really happens on the Brokeback Mountain. And it was just...
It's stupid.
It's stupid.
This is not a well-written... But I think the acting is great. But I think the cinematography is
beautiful.
Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Go watch the movie for the cinematography. Just don't watch for everything else. I give it a 2 at the very most. I'll be generous and say it's a 2. It had some good ideas. It really fell apart.
I give it the same. It's a shame. It could have been so well done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why Ang Lee fell on this movie. Why it fell.
I don't know. And the ending sucked. The ending sucked. So, oh well. But that was a great way to end this off.
No, I shouldn't laugh. No. And I still don't know how Jake Gyllenhaal really died. Was he killed? Was he killed, or was there an accident? I still don't know.
Yeah, they don't explain it. They say one thing and then they show something else, so it's hard to tell. Like, you can't tell what's the truth and what's not the truth, and they should have made it clear.
Yes.
That I can see, in my opinion, what he was just imagining what actually happened. He's assuming what happened.
No, I think that she lied to him and he was really killed.
This is why the movie made so much money, because they had to say, go watch this movie and see the ending, so we could say what was the true ending.
I think he was really murdered.
I think it was an accident, and I think he just imagined what happened in his childhood. He's assuming that's what happened to Jake Gyllenhaal's character. Well,
it was brutal. It was very brutal. It was very brutal.
Yeah, that's how I interpret it, because that's how the film. It's supposed to be like, oh, it's up to you to decide. Like, don't do that. Not with this movie. It's a simple beginning, middle, and end. Tell the story. Tell the story right. And
it doesn't make sense why the shirt was at the parents' house when he didn't frequent at the parents' house.
That whole thing was ridiculous. I could not stand that whole thing too. These people did not act like they would act with all this.
And they didn't really know their son.
No. It was stupid. It was all stupid. And, I'm bringing it down to a 1. I'm bringing it down to a 1.
I convinced you.
You convinced me. You know what? You're right. The ending was so bad. It's a 1 now. It's a 1.
And Jake was beautiful, and he didn't look anything like his parents.
Yeah, his parents.
You know what? They look
like his grandparents.
It's a -1. It's a -1 now.
Cool. Well, that was Brokeback Mountain and the rest of the films.
I'm broke.
That was... God, we've had an interesting
My back
movie.
is broke.
Yeah. Back is... Yeah, carrying this podcast with that movie.
Please, I like I said, I love, and I have lots of
just
gay friends, and
you love Will and Grace.
I have lots of gay friends and couples, and I'm disappointed in this film. I don't think it really shows true love between it.
I've already stopped caring about this movie. Well, that was a great week, all things considered. But it's fun to really just rip apart a bad movie. It's fun to rip apart a bad movie, and that's pretty much it. It was a great week. Thank you all so much for listening, and we appreciate it. And we look forward to next week, because next week we have a great lineup for movies to check out. So,
Yes.
Looking forward to the next week already.
I can't quit you.
Yep. Thanks for listening.